Alex leaned back in the uncomfortable seat designed for beings with entirely different anatomies. The gravity here was laughable, barely 0.6 of what he considered normal, making his movements appear unnaturally graceful to his classmates. As the only human at the Galactic Federation Academy's junior education program, he had grown accustomed to being the oddity. "And for our next cultural exchange segment," announced Professor Trill, their blue-skinned instructor with 4 delicate arms, "we have Alex from Earth sharing stories of his homeworld." The classroom fell silent. Earth was classified as a Class 12 DeathWorld, a harsh environment that produced resilient, sturdy species considered somewhat dangerous by galactic standards. Most of Alex's classmates came from Class 3 or Class 4, worlds with stable environments, mild weather patterns, and minimal tectonic activity. Alex stood and made his way to the front, conscious of how his heavy footfalls sounded in the quiet room despite the reduced gravity. 20 pairs of eyes in various shapes, colors, and quantities followed his movement with a mixture of fascination and apprehension. "Thank you, Professor," Alex said, clearing his throat. "I thought I'd share some stories about growing up in what you'd call the northern temperate region of Earth." Lim, a gas breather with translucent skin, raised a tendril. "Is it true that water falls from your sky regularly, as a liquid?" The question came through Alex's translator with a hint of disbelief. "Yes, we call it rain," Alex replied with a smile. "In fact, where I grew up, we had something called seasons, 4 distinct climate periods throughout our year. During winter, the rain actually freezes and falls as crystallized water called snow." Gasps rippled through the classroom. The concept of precipitation changing states naturally in the atmosphere was apparently shocking. "During winter," Alex continued, "temperatures can drop well below freezing. The lakes and rivers develop a solid layer of ice on top. As kids, we would actually go out and play on this ice. We'd skate across it for fun." "You stood on frozen water? For entertainment?" asked Dorn, a silicon-based life form whose rocky features contorted in confusion. "Wasn't there danger of thermal shock to your system?" Alex chuckled. "We wore protective clothing, but yes, sometimes we'd fall through if the ice was too thin. Then you'd have to swim in the freezing water and pull yourself out." The classroom erupted in concerned murmurs. "Once," Alex said, warming to his subject, "my friend Tom and I were caught in a blizzard while hiking. The temperature dropped to -20 degrees and the wind was so strong it knocked us over. We had to dig a shelter in the snow and huddle together for warmth until morning." "You survived exposure to such conditions?" Professor Trill asked, multifaceted eyes blinking rapidly. "Without technological assistance?" "Humans are pretty good at adapting," Alex shrugged. "But that's nothing compared to summer, when forest fires can spread for kilometers, consuming everything in their path. The smoke gets so thick sometimes you can barely breathe." "Your world burns regularly?" asked Vex, a plant-based student whose leaves trembled slightly. "Parts of it, yes. We also have these things called earthquakes, where the ground itself moves and shakes. Buildings can collapse. Sometimes the ocean floor shifts and creates massive waves that destroy coastal cities." The class was now completely silent, horror evident on their varied faces. "Not to mention the wildlife," Alex continued. "We have predators that can kill with a single bite, insects that inject venom, plants that cause painful rashes just by touching them, microscopic organisms that invade our bodies and cause disease." Professor Trill interrupted gently. "Perhaps we should move on to more pleasant aspects of Earth culture." "Oh, this isn't even the dangerous stuff," Alex said casually. "I haven't mentioned tornadoes yet, swirling vortexes of wind that can lift buildings. Or how about lightning? That's when electricity discharges from the clouds with enough power to instantly kill whatever it strikes." "And you voluntarily remain on this planet?" asked Lim, tendrils wrapped protectively around themselves. "It's home," Alex said simply. "Besides, most humans love pushing our limits. My grandfather climbed mountains for fun. Vertical rock, formations that stretch kilometers into the sky where the air gets so thin you can barely breathe. People dive into deep oceans, explore caves, jump out of flying vehicles with just a piece of fabric to slow their fall. This is recreation, Dorn sounded incredulous. For some. Others prefer quieter activities like growing plants or creating art, Alex explained. The harsh conditions have shaped us, made us adaptive. We're constantly testing boundaries, seeing what's possible. Is that why Earth joined the Federation so quickly after first contact? Asked Professor Trill. Your species' curiosity? Alex nodded. Partly, but also because we recognized something important, that strength comes in many forms. We may be physically resilient, but we have so much to learn from all of you about sustainable living, peaceful cooperation, and different ways of thinking. The bell equivalent sounded, signaling the end of class. As Alex returned to his seat, he noticed his classmates regarding him differently, still with caution but now with something that looked almost like respect. Later, in the dining hall, Alex was surprised when Vex and Lim sat beside him. Would you tell us more about Earth? Vex asked hesitantly. The professor said your species has cultivated relationships with other organisms despite the harsh conditions. Something about domestication? Alex smiled, setting down his specially prepared human-compatible meal. Well, we have these companions, called dogs, that evolved alongside us for thousands of years. They're descendants of predators, but now they're our friends. As he spoke, more students gathered around, listening with a mixture of horror and fascination to tales of a world so unlike their own. And for the first time since arriving at the academy, Alex felt like he truly belonged, not despite being from a death world, but because of it.